Okay, Algebra 2 students. This is kind of an add-on video that I made for section 3.6. This is an extra note page, if you will, that kind of covers a review of quadratic functions that we've learned so far. So we're going to work together to fill in this worksheet. And then I'm going to do a couple more practice problems on completing the square, which is converting from standard form to vertex form. This goes hand in hand with the video lecture that was posted Thursday on section 3.6. Okay, so first of all, quadratic functions. Parent function is f of x or y equals x squared. Okay, creates the U-shaped curve called a parabola. All right. And blank, blank, blank is a vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts. That would be the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. The turning point of the parabola, the U shape, is the vertex. Okay. Now, if we're going to graph that parent function, okay, our vertex is just 0, 0, dead center of the graph, okay? And I usually only do about 2 points on either side of the vertex. So if I go up to 1 and 2 or down to -1, -2, what are the values I get? So first of all, 0, 0 is my starting point, my vertex, okay? If I plug in a -1, -1 squared is +1. -2 squared is +4. Same thing on the other side. So we get here and here, here and here. If I plugged in 3, I'd get 9, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is what your parabola, actually, I think I went a little wide on the right-hand side here. Let me try that again. I can't see my things over here. Anyway, okay, looks like this. My axis of symmetry in this case would be my y-axis. My axis would be x equals 0. Okay, so vertex is 0, 0. My axis is x equals 0. Now, standard form and vertex form. Okay, we first learned standard form. Standard form is y or f of x, whatever, doesn't matter which one you use, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, that is standard form. The axis of symmetry, this is where we learn that little formula for the x. It's x equals -b over 2a. Okay, and then that is also the x coordinate on your vertex. Also your vertex x coordinate. Okay, same thing. And then you plug it back in to find the actual vertex. So first of all, if I'm going to do this math here, I've got x equals, first of all, let me identify. The 1 here is my a, the -4 is my b. Okay, so my x value minus a -4 over 2 times a is 1. So that is +4 over 2. That is 2. Okay. So axis, again, is x equals 2. X equals 2, I'm kind of guessing at where the lines are here, is a vertical line through that. Okay. Now, plug it back in to the basic equation to find your vertex y coordinate. Okay, so your vertex y coordinate, know how I put the v and then the little y, that's my vertex y coordinate. I'm going to have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. So 4 minus 8 plus 1, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So my vertex is 2, negative 3. Okay, and again, I'm going to kind of ignore top and bottom rows here. So vertex is 2, negative 3. Right here. It's going to be my vertex point. Okay, now let's go up from there, 3, 4, and down from there, 1, 0. Okay, if I plug a 0 back into my original equation, that's what I'm talking about, the original equation. 0 squared minus 4 times 0, everything 0, plus 1 is 1. So 0, 1 is a point. Well, if I plug 4 in, these should be mirror images. I should also get 1. Okay. If I plug in a 1, 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 1 is going to give me a negative 2. Okay, so this is negative 2. This is negative 2. Here is my parabola. Okay, again, they should be mirror images on either side of the axis of symmetry. Okay, vertex form. Vertex form is kind of the preferred way to write it, but vertex form is where you have A out in front and then x minus h in parentheses squared plus k. This is the form that tells you how to shift. Left, right, up, down. Remember, the h tells you whether you're shifting left or right. The k tells you whether you're shifting up or down. Okay? So, and the A tells you whether you're pointing up or down and how fat or skinny it is, whether you're stretching vertically or stretching horizontally. So your axis of symmetry for these is going to be x equals h, and your vertex is going to be h comma k. So on this one, your vertex, it's already in vertex form. So your vertex is going to be negative 1, positive 6. So negative 1, positive 6 is the vertex. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there. So that means that my axis of symmetry, okay, is going to be x equals negative 1. Okay. Now, I need to fill in the table with some more values. So I need to go up from there, 0, 1, and I need to go down from there, negative 2, negative 3. And then you're literally just plugging them in. So if I plug in a negative 3, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 squared is 4, times negative 2 is negative 8, plus 6 minus 2. If I plug in a negative 2, I'll spare you the math, that's a 4. Okay, so this one you can tell is going to be pointing down. Why? Mainly because of this negative. Okay, so if I plot these points, negative 3, negative 2, and then 1, negative 2, and negative 2, 4, and 0, 4. Okay, so you'll notice this parabola is a little skinnier. That's because my A is a 2. Okay, if the absolute value of your A is greater than 1, you're going to be stretching it vertically. If the absolute value of your A is between 0 and 1, you're going to be stretching it horizontally or shrinking it vertically, compressing it, if you will. Okay, now I'm going to add another page and do a couple of problems. Some more completing the square problems as a kind of a continuation of the video that's already posted for 3.6. So let me start with 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. Now, first thing I need to do is group the x terms. Okay. Second thing I need to do is factor out the a. Okay, anytime your x squared, has a leading coefficient, your a term, it needs to come out. So my 3 is going to come out here. That's going to leave this with x squared plus 2x. Okay, then I am intentionally leaving these two spots blank. And then I've got my minus 4. Okay, now if you distribute that 3 back through the parentheses, you've got 3x squared plus 6x, and then you got the minus 4. But we are trying to manufacture a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so how do I do that? I find the magic number. Now, this magic number is my phrase. You won't find that on the video from the lady that developed this curriculum, but magic number, okay, here's how we find the magic number. You take b over 2 and square it. Well, b is 2, so that's 2 over 2 squared. So that is 1 squared, or 1. Okay, so this factors, well, let me just keep writing here. So now I've got, well, I'm going to go ahead and put the 1 in here. So my 1 goes in here. Okay, now what is going to go in the slot outside the parenthesis? Okay, now keep in mind, this 3 has been factored out of all 3 of these terms. So this 3, if we were going to multiply everything back out, would have to be distributed to all 3 of those terms. Okay, so really we didn't just add a 1, we added a 1 in the parentheses, but what we really added was a 3 because of the 3 on the outside. So then 3 times 1 is 3. So to counterbalance that, I have to subtract 3 out here. Okay, so what does this give me? This gives me 3 gives me this so far. Now, this right here needs to be factored. This is where my perfect square trinomial is. So how does that factor down? This factors down to x plus 1 squared. I've still got the 3 out front, and I've got the minus 7 out the back. That is vertex form. Okay, we just went from standard form to vertex form. So that means my vertex is a -1, -7. This would point up and stretch vertically by 3. Okay, my vertex would be -1, -7. It would point up because the a is positive, and it would stretch vertically by 3. That's what I know. Okay, let's do another one. This one is going to be a little uglier because I'm going to have a fraction out front. So 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus 7. Okay, that's what I'm starting with. That is standard form. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to do is group the first 2 terms and factor out the 1/2 out of the first 2 terms. Okay, so I am factoring out a 1/2 and then grouping the first 2 terms. So 1/2 divided by 1/2 is 1. Now, a -2x, -2x divided by 1/2 is actually going to give me a -4x. Okay, that's the end of my grouping, and then plus 7. Are we okay with that? Again, kind of think in reverse. If I take that 1/2 and distribute it back through the parentheses, I'd get 1/2 x minus 2x, and then the plus 7 in the back. Okay, so I get back to where I started. Now, this is where I have to find my magic number. Okay, so magic number. Magic number, again, is b over 2 squared. So that is -4/2 squared, which is -2 squared, or +4. Now, I need to rewrite it. Okay? So I've got the 1/2 out in front. I've got x squared minus 4x. Then I'm going to have a blank here, and I'm going to have a blank on the outside. And then I'm going to add the +7 in the back. So everything in black is kind of what I started with. Okay, and then I have to fill the red blanks. Now, this magic number is what goes in here. So this is going to be +4. Now, once again, you have to think about what goes in the slot behind it, okay, to counterbalance it. Okay, because 1/2 times 4 is 2. Okay, so really what I need is a -2 out here to counterbalance the +4 inside, because the +4 inside gets multiplied by 1/2. Okay, so now I have to factor what's in the parentheses. X squared minus 4x plus 4 is x minus 2 squared, and then I'm going to have +5 when I add these two terms together out the back. This is vertex form, okay, by completing the square. So again, my vertex now would be 2, 5, okay? This would point up because it's still positive, and it would stretch horizontally or you could think of it as compress vertically, but stretch horizontally by 2. Okay? You're shrinking it vertically by 1/2, you're stretching it horizontally by 2. Okay? I want to do one more. Okay. Last problem for this video, -x squared plus 6x minus 6. Okay. Now our a term is just a -1. Okay, so I am going to factor that out. Okay, I've got x squared minus, whoops, I don't want those back in black, x squared minus 6x, and then minus 6. Whoops. Okay, so that middle, the first term and the second term, the first and the middle, change signs because I factored the negative out. Okay, so now I have to find the magic number. Okay, so the magic number is, again, b/2 squared, which is -6/2 squared, -3 squared, which is 9. Okay, so now here's what this looks like. So I've got the negative on the outside. I've got x squared minus 6x inside. I've got a blank inside, a blank outside, and then I still have the minus 6 in the back. Okay. Now, the magic number, this 9, gets put in here. Okay. Now, that 9 gets put there, but it's the combination of those two multiplied together. That's the actual net effect that happened when I added 9 in the parentheses. So by adding the +9, I actually contributed a -9. So then to counterbalance that, this has to be a +9. Okay? So now I need to factor my perfect square trinomial. So this is x minus 3 squared, and then these are like terms I can add together, plus 3. Now, one more thing I want to point out. If you are ever confused, this right here is your b over 2 term. Okay? This right here is your b over 2 term, right there. That's what it is. That's where it comes from. So if you ever don't see how to factor it, okay, that right there is your b over 2 term. Okay? Always with the same sign. So this right here, I got some markings on it, but that is vertex form. So my vertex is going to be 3, 3. Of course, I love the dead spots in my board. My vertex is going to be 3, 3. Okay? And it's going to point down because of the minus out in front. It's going to point down because of the minus in front. Okay, just wanted to give a short overview. This goes hand in hand with your 3.6 video. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. So that's it. We will do this next class.